Sometimes life feels like it is moving through a strange, unseen current, where things don't fall into place, no matter how carefully you try to hold them together. You may notice certain periods where progress feels blocked, emotions feel heavier than usual, and confidence quietly slips without any clear reason. Often, this isn't caused by a single person or event, but by a mix of misunderstandings, silent competition, and energies around you that are not fully aligned with your growth. In such moments, it can feel as if something is working against you, even though the real struggle is usually internal or circumstantial rather than directed harm. There may have been individuals who observed your journey from a distance, not always with pure intentions, sometimes carrying comparison, insecurity, or unspoken resentment that subtly influenced their behavior toward you. This can create confusion, miscommunication, or emotional distance that feels heavier than it actually is. Over time, these experiences can make you question your path or doubt your progress, even when you are evolving in meaningful ways. The important truth is that growth often triggers resistance, not from destiny itself, but from the natural friction that comes when people, expectations, and emotions don't move in the same direction. What once felt like unseen pressure slowly loses its hold when you begin to recognize your own strength and separate fact from fear. As clarity returns, you realize that your journey was never truly blocked. It was simply surrounded by noise that no longer deserves your attention, and your path continues forward with more awareness, stability, and quiet confidence. But tonight, her power ends, her influence breaks, and the thread she tied around your destiny snaps in a single stroke that she never saw coming. Another truth unfolds beneath the surface. She wasn't acting alone. There were whispers feeding her, weak minds validating her bitterness, and unseen forces amplifying her jealousy until it turned into something that could have destroyed you emotionally, mentally, spiritually. You were meant to be crippled from the inside, to be made so insecure, so uncertain, so lost in confusion that you would walk away from the future, waiting for you. Every setback you faced, every night you couldn't sleep, every moment you doubted your own worth wasn't random. It was part of the silent attack she launched to break the fire in you before it could burn through the limitations placed on your name. But her final move, the one she intended to release tonight, has backfired. She has lost the access she once had. Her path is being sealed. She is being removed. Now feel that shift, really feel it, because the energy around you is different from every night before this one. Something is being released from your life with force, as if an unseen hand has grabbed the shadow that followed you and dragged it away. The gate that she used to watch you from is closing, and the strings she tried to pull are snapping one by one. The plans she nurtured in silence, the intentions she stayed awake with, the thoughts she believed would crush you, they are dissolving into nothingness. And the most shocking part is this: she doesn't understand how her influence slipped away so suddenly. She believed she had more control. She believed you were still within her reach. But tonight proves she never understood who was truly protecting you. And as the final layer of her presence fades, a calm begins to rise inside you. The calm of someone who survived a danger they never knew was stalking them. You don't need to fear her. You don't need to look back. You don't need to search for names or faces. What tried to destroy your spirit has been forced out of your path. Her departure tonight marks the beginning of a timeline where nothing and no one can dim the light rising inside you. Something powerful has stepped in on your behalf, and the woman whose intentions could have shattered your future is being pulled out at the very hour she believed she would succeed. Tonight, you are not just safe, you are stepping into a destiny she never wanted you to reach. My beloved child, the moment her shadow slipped out of your destiny, something else rose in its place, an energy so sharp, so alert, so protective, that it feels like the entire atmosphere is whispering for you to stay with me, because what unfolds next is bigger than anything you've felt so far. Her exit did not end the story. It triggered the revelation that was always meant to reach you at the exact moment when your spirit was ready to hear it. Tonight is not just a night of removal, it is a night of exposure. The truth about why she targeted your peace, why she wanted your spirit dimmed, and why she feared your rise is now unfolding in layers that no one can interrupt. And as each layer opens, your awareness sharpens, like a blade waking from sleep, realizing for the first time that you were never walking alone. But listen closely, because this is where the narrative tightens. While she was plotting in silence, the universe was mapping your protection with a force she could never penetrate. She believed she was hidden. She believed no one could see the bitterness she wrapped in false smiles, the grudges she carried like poison, the envy she poured into the cracks of your life, hoping they would break you from inside. What she didn't know was that every attempt she made echoed in the unseen realms, and that is why you were urged into isolation at times, pulled away from certain people, and placed into moments of unexpected solitude, not because you were forgotten, but because you were being protected from her reach. Stay with me, because the truth only gets heavier from here. A new realization is rising now, a twist most people never see coming. Her intentions were never about destroying your life. They were about stopping your transformation. She feared the version of you that was being born through pain, through disappointment, through silent battles no one witnessed. She feared the strength you were developing, the clarity forming in your spirit, the courage sharpening in your heart. She feared what you would become once you healed. When people become uncertain about someone's future, they often try to interfere with their present in subtle or direct ways, but life has a way of reshaping those intentions in unexpected directions. What was meant to create obstacles can end up revealing strength, and what was designed to cause doubt often becomes the reason clarity grows stronger. In time, the situation shifts, and the same energy that once felt heavy begins to lose its influence, leaving space for stability and forward movement. There comes a point where external pressure no longer defines the direction of a life, and instead, personal growth starts taking over with quiet confidence. The sense of protection is not something dramatic or mystical, but rather the natural result of resilience built through experience, awareness, and endurance. As confusion fades, understanding becomes sharper, and what once felt overwhelming begins to feel distant and manageable. At the same time, intentions that were rooted in negativity tend to lose their strength, often collapsing under their own weight, while the person moving forward becomes more grounded and focused. This shift is not sudden but steady, almost unnoticed at first, until one day it becomes clear that things no longer affect you the same way. Emotional heaviness lifts, fear reduces, and clarity replaces uncertainty. What remains is a quieter, stronger version of yourself that no longer reacts, but responds with balance. In that space, growth continues naturally, not because of what others intended, but because of what you chose to build despite it. marking the beginning of a more stable and self-directed path ahead. The path ahead of you is opening with a brilliance she tried to block, but failed. The intentions that were meant to weaken you have transformed into fuel for your eyes. The darkness she wrapped around your name has unraveled and revealed the light she feared most. Tonight marks the transition from being targeted to being untouchable, from being watched to being guarded, from being doubted to being destined. Stay with me, because what comes next is not just protection, it is victory, and it is already moving toward you. My beloved child, the shift you feel right now isn't your imagination. It's the echo left behind when a hidden enemy is removed and a guarded destiny begins to open itself without resistance. Something around you has gone silent, but not the silence of fear, the silence of power, the kind that arrives only when a threat has been pulled out by force. Tonight marks the moment when your spirit steps out of the shadows she tried to trap you in and into the illumination she never wanted you to touch. This silence is golden. This silence is divine. This silence is the doorway she never wanted you to find. And as it opens, new truths start crawling out of the darkness she once used to hide herself. Yet understand this, she didn't fail because she lost strength. She failed because you gained clarity. The moment you started questioning your own heaviness, the moment you sensed something was off around you, the moment you began searching for peace instead of pain, her influence cracked. That single shift inside you, your desire for emotional freedom, was the spark that shattered the web she thought she'd built too tightly. She underestimated that a heart determined to heal is stronger than any silent plan built from envy. And now, as her presence fades like smoke dissolving into the air, everything she tried to silence inside you begins to awaken. Your intuition sharpens, your courage rises, your spirit stretches its wings again. She planned to drown your fire, but instead, you're burning brighter than ever. This is where the story deepens, because the forces guiding you are now exposing details she never intended for you to see. Her intentions didn't form suddenly. They grew over time, fed by moments where she compared her life to yours, where she watched you glow while she felt stuck in her shadows. Her envy wasn't random. It was constant, quiet, calculated. Every time you succeeded, a crack formed inside her. Every time you healed, her bitterness deepened. Every time you rose, she felt smaller. She believed sabotaging your path would make her world feel larger. But destiny doesn't reward darkness, and tonight, the scales finally tipped. She has lost the power she once thought she controlled, and the universe has shifted the spotlight back onto you, the one who was chosen to rise, not the one who tried to stop the rising. Now breathe deeply, because you're stepping into the phase she feared most, your awakening. This is the part of your journey where your eyes widen to things you used to ignore, where your intuition speaks louder than ever before, where your spirit refuses to bend for anyone who carries hidden intentions. You are no longer walking blindly through the world she tried to distort. You see the truth now, not the faces, not the names, but the vibrations. You feel the difference between genuine hearts and disguised souls. You sense when something feels wrong, even before it happens. You are stepping into a version of yourself that cannot be manipulated, cannot be deceived, cannot be dimmed. This is what she feared. This is why she targeted your spirit. And this is why the universe intervened. And as the night continues unfolding its secrets, you begin to understand the real reason she couldn't touch you. Your path is protected beyond her reach. There are moments in life when things feel quietly aligned, as if unseen patterns are shaping your path in ways you only understand later. What once felt like setbacks or confusion often turns out to be subtle redirections, guiding you towards something steadier and more meaningful than you could recognize at the time. Even situations that felt heavy or uncertain were not meant to hold you back, but to refine your direction and strengthen your clarity. As certain influences fade from your life, there is space for something new to emerge, something more aligned with who you are becoming rather than who you used to be. With that shift, your future doesn't feel blocked anymore. It begins to open in unexpected ways, carrying a sense of momentum that feels both natural and earned. You start noticing how past doubts lose their grip, how old emotional ties no longer define your choices, and how your focus becomes sharper, more intentional. In that space, growth feels less like struggle and more like unfolding awareness. You begin to see your own strength more clearly, not as something dramatic or sudden, but as something built quietly over time through experience and endurance. What once seemed hidden or unclear about your direction starts to make sense, revealing a path shaped by persistence, reflection, and inner change. And as you move forward, there is a deeper understanding that every phase, even the difficult ones, contributed to bringing you closer to a version of yourself that is more grounded, more aware, and more prepared for what comes next. People fear what they cannot control, and she couldn't control you. She couldn't dim you. She couldn't bend your heart. She couldn't break your focus. So she tried to drain your spirit instead. But instead of weakening you, she awakened forces that now refuse to let anything harmful get within reach of your path. Stay with me, because your rise is only beginning. Here's the twist she never saw coming. You weren't the one being judged. She was. Every intention she held against you, every silent plan she formed, every negative thought she wrapped your name in, all of it became the evidence written against her spirit. And tonight, the universe has delivered the final verdict. She is blocked. She is exposed. She is removed. Not because you fought her, but because your purpose outweighs her bitterness. You were chosen to walk a road she cannot enter, and now the gate behind you has closed so tightly she can never follow again. Stay with me, because you need to hear what comes next. The energy around you is shifting into something stronger, something she could never stand against. Your spirit is expanding, your intuition is sharpening, and your protective shield is rising like a wall of light around everything connected to your future. You are stepping into a version of yourself that she feared from the beginning, the version that sees clearly, moves wisely, and refuses to be triggered by hidden intentions. This awakening inside you is the very thing her presence tried to suffocate. But now, as the weight lifts from your chest and the fog clears from your mind, you feel a clarity you haven't felt in years. Your steps are guided, your heart is guarded, your path is bright. Stay with me, because the most powerful part is still unfolding. And here it is. The universe is not only removing what tried to dim you, it is rewarding you for surviving what you didn't even know was happening behind your back. Blessings are repositioning themselves toward you, opportunities are gathering in silence, and breakthroughs are aligning with precision. You are stepping into a phase where your success will speak louder than her intentions ever could. You don't need to confront her, you don't need to look back, and you don't need to search for what almost harmed you. What tried to break you is gone. What tried to derail you is done. And now, as the new path opens in front of you, stay with me, because your rise from this point forward is unstoppable. My beloved child, The darkness that once hovered around you has thinned into nothing but a faint memory, and now the light rising behind you grows so intense that even the air feels charged with a purpose she could never interfere with again. This is the moment where your destiny stops whispering and starts roaring, where your spirit breaks free from every illusion she tried to weave around your path. Tonight is not just about her exit. Tonight is about the unveiling of the strength you never realized was sleeping inside you. Everything that once drained you, confused you, or weighed on your heart is dissolving, and in its place you feel a calm that is not ordinary. It is powerful, protective, ancient. It is the calm of someone who survived without even knowing how close they came to losing themselves. But listen carefully. The universe didn't just remove her, it repositioned you. You were shifted away from people, places, and energies that would have kept you trapped in cycles meant to shrink your spirit. Every difficult pause, every moment that felt like rejection, and every unexpected distance in your life may have been shaping you in ways you only understand in hindsight. What once looked like setbacks can often turn out to be quiet redirections, gently steering you away from situations that no longer matched your growth. Sometimes life creates separation, not as a punishment, but as space for clarity, reflection, and rebuilding your inner foundation. In that space, something subtle begins to shift within you. Your thoughts start to settle, your perspective widens, and you begin to notice strength forming where confusion once lived. You slowly step into a version of yourself that is less reactive, more aware, and far more grounded in purpose. There is a natural unfolding that happens when you stop resisting change and start allowing yourself to evolve at your own pace. What once felt heavy begins to lose its grip, and your direction becomes clearer without force or pressure. You begin to recognize that growth is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet, internal, and deeply personal. As your emotional weight lifts, your confidence becomes more stable, and your decisions feel more intentional. You no longer move from uncertainty, but from understanding. Even your inner world starts to feel more balanced, as if everything is aligning in a way that supports your next chapter. This is what transformation often feels like, not an explosion of change, but a steady return to yourself, where peace replaces confusion and clarity becomes your natural state. This is what peace feels like when it returns after being blocked for too long. This is what destiny feels like when it steps forward without hesitation. You are not the same person you were yesterday. You have awakened, and in this awakened state, you no longer absorb the energy around you, you influence it. You no longer adapt to the room, you shift it. You no longer bend yourself to fit the world. You rise, so the world bends around you. This is the power she feared. This is the strength she tried to dim. But now, it is rising beyond her reach. And now, as the night continues unfolding its final truth, understand this: she is not your story. She is not your ending. She is not your destiny. She was merely a shadow that tried to stand in the way of your sunrise. But the sun is rising anyway. Your spirit is rising anyway. Your purpose is rising anyway. Your purpose is rising anyway. Your purpose is rising anyway. Nothing she did changed what was written for you. It only cleared the path for it to reach you faster. You are stepping into a timeline where nothing hidden can block you again. The universe is aligning. Your energy is stabilizing. Your destiny is calling. And from this moment forward, the story shifts entirely in your favor. My beloved child, The air around you now carries a different weight, lighter, brighter, yet filled with a silent authority that settles over your spirit like a shield woven from truth itself. What once felt like confusion is becoming clarity. What once felt like heaviness is turning into strength. And what once followed you like a silent shadow has vanished completely, leaving behind an atmosphere that feels renewed, almost reborn. This is not an ordinary shift. This is the moment when your destiny realigns after surviving an unseen storm. You are stepping into a phase where your intuition leads, your spirit stands tall, and your inner voice finally speaks without interruption. Everything around you is beginning to recognize the glow rising from within you. But listen closely. Her departure didn't just free your spirit. It unlocked a revelation that was waiting behind every setback she tried to create. Now that she is gone, the truth has space to breathe. You are beginning to understand why certain things didn't work before, why certain people drifted away, why certain opportunities seemed delayed. None of it was rejection, it was protection. You were being shielded from walking into rooms where her influence lingered. And now, with that influence erased, doors that once refused to open will swing effortlessly at your touch. Your timeline is expanding in ways that were impossible while her shadow hovered near you. The universe has recalibrated your path, and you are walking into blessings that were paused, not denied. Here's the twist. The universe has waited to reveal. You were never the target. You were the treasure. Everything she tried to throw at your spirit was a reaction to something she could sense but never possess. Your resilience, your purpose, your inner gold. And when someone recognizes a greatness inside you that you haven't discovered yet, they often respond with fear, envy, or attempts to dim what they cannot match. But the universe does not allow a dimmed heart to dictate the destiny of a chosen soul. Her intentions dissolved because your spirit was too powerful to be manipulated, too protected to be redirected, too destined to be interrupted. You were marked for elevation long before she appeared, and now that she's gone, your rise accelerates with unstoppable momentum. And now you can feel it, a shift in your energy so strong that even your thoughts begin to change. You're seeing yourself differently. You are beginning to recognize your own value with a new kind of clarity, as if a quiet fog has finally lifted. There is a noticeable ease in your thoughts now, a lighter rhythm in your emotions, and a steadier way you move through each moment. It feels like you are reconnecting with a part of yourself that was always there, simply waiting beneath layers of doubt and pressure. With this shift comes a growing sense of trust in life's direction, an inner confidence that does not depend on certainty, but on awareness and presence. Even unfamiliar situations no longer feel overwhelming, because your approach has changed. You respond with calm instead of fear, with understanding instead of hesitation. This inner transformation brings a deeper strength, the kind that allows you to make healthier choices, protect your peace, and step away from anything that disrupts your balance. Your inner world is no longer easily shaken by external noise. Instead, it acts as a guide, shaping how you move forward. As this new phase settles in, you may notice that your experiences begin to align more naturally, as though life itself is adjusting to your clarity. What once felt confusing now feels more organized, more intentional, and more open. You are entering a period where authenticity matters more than ever, and where your energy is drawn toward what is real, steady, and supportive. The past versions of uncertainty are fading, making space for growth, stability, and direction. From here onward, your journey carries a stronger sense of purpose, revealing how much inner strength has always been within you.